This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. Don't miss a moment on or off the field. Make every day a highlight with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIK.
Little 24 hours after meeting with the media, which I'm sure was a pleasure for the likes of Carson Kent and Isaiah Sategna. We'll hear from him in a second. Welcome back. I almost said the radio show that I do. I don't know why I do that, but welcome back to the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoya here as Oklahoma got underway with spring practice today, and we were out there for actually about 40 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes of like real action after the stretching and stuff. Got a good look at John Mateer there. And George, welcome in. It was, I guess, in a way, good to be back out there today.
Yeah, it was awesome. There's only so much you can actually take away, but I think kind of seeing those guys, in person without pads on, but then going out there, seeing them with pads on, hitting bags, catching balls, whatever it is always fun. And it was cool to see John Mateer for the first time really throwing the ball. He was crisp. Definitely comes out of his hand nice, I would say. I don't know. Sure. Again, how much do you really know? But yeah, I thought he looked good.
Yeah, it was good. And, just seeing guys like Ben Arbuckle for the first time working with the offense. We saw him working with, some of the tight ends, and then obviously with the quarterbacks, Kip Lewis looking good. And there he is, Jaron Kanak working with the tight end unit.
Yeah, I thought he looked like not out of place with the tight ends. I mean,
Kerry put it best. Looks like a Hulk Drake Stoops, if you will. I do think that, the pass catching is stuff that is very comfortable to him. That was something that he did back in high school. Michael Fasusi as well. I'll tell you what. You look at the offensive lineman out there. And then, of course, Danny Okoye. We had to put him in the highlights from practice today. Didn't spend a whole lot of time with the defensive ends, but just watching Danny Okoye run around, you can tell why there's a lot of hype around the former Tulsa Noah product.
Look, there's certain guys that look the part. Danny Okoye is one of them. David Stone, I thought, looked awesome. He's up to 313 pounds, up from 296 a year ago. And there's a bunch of different weight changes, but that was one that really stuck out to me. I mean, he looks massive, but I thought Javonnie Gibson at receiver, I had mentioned him yesterday, kind of seeing him. There he is right there. He looks great. Definitely a physical looking guy. And, I don't think he's their tallest receiver. I think Emmanuel Choice is. I mean, Emmanuel Choice, for a true freshman, he's listed at 6'4", 212. He looks good, but there's Javonnie Gibson. He's 6'2", 216. So I think that there was definitely some guys that, again, we'll see what it looks like when they actually play a game, but some guys that definitely stood out today.
There's David Stone looking really good, and we did get the updated roster from the University of Oklahoma today. David Stone up from 296 to 313. There was a bunch of notable guys that have added weight here over the course of the offseason, if you will, into the winter workouts. Did any of those numbers stick out to you? I know that there was one that we had talked about. Devon Mitchell up to 275.
Yeah, he looked a little big, and I don't know if that was them trying to bulk him up. And then, a lot of times these guys lose weight in the summer and during spring ball when they're practicing and everything. So I bet they try to get that number a little bit down, but he's a big dude. I mean, we saw him out there today. I mean, he's certainly, of all the tight ends, him and Will Huggins, the transfer from Pitt State, I mean, he's every bit of 6'6", 6'7", 262. But, Devon Mitchell, big dude out there today.
Xavier Robinson up 226 to 235. You saw it, and we talked about it after we came back from practice today. You can see the entirety of the sights and sounds from today's spring practice, the open session, right here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel. Got that up earlier in the day when we got back from practice. But Gavin Sawchuk's up 197 to 205. It just seems like there has been a significant amount of guys that have added weight.
Yeah, Javonte Barnes, another one. So 3 running backs that all put on some weight. I think Taylor Tatum was around the same as he was a year ago. But, it's interesting. Like Xavier Robinson, you wouldn't think they would add weight there. And again, winter a lot of times is when you bulk up, and then in the summer you lose some of it from the conditioning. So that could be a part of it too. But I thought the running back group today, I don't know about you, they looked impressive out there.
I think that's why you look at, some of the position groups and you see a Javonnie Gibson. There's going to be a lot to, I guess, find out here over the next couple months, and then obviously into the summer and August for spring or for the beginning of fall camp. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're pulling us back in, kind of like the OU men's basketball team, although we'll see about that.
Just a couple notes, too, that were welcome sights. Gentry Williams out there looked like he was a full participant, at least when we were out there during the individual drills. He was going through stuff with the corners. And Kendal Dolby. Kendal Dolby was going through all the drills, which is great to see. He had an ankle brace on, but looked like he was good to go. So you love to see that. Jaden Jackson, Heath Zaida, Logan Hallen, those guys were all kind of working off onto the side. So we'll see where they when they can get back.
Heath Zaida, I actually saw him today. He has his arm's an actual sling right now.
It looked like he just had his surgery. Whereas Logan Howland and Jaden Jackson were over there pushing sleds and stuff. Peyton Bowen as well. He was working on the side. He wasn't a full participant, but I did think it was good to see Gentry Williams out there for the first time since. What game was it last year? The second game? Was it the Houston game he got?
I felt like it was the Temple game, but I think it was the Houston game.
I want to say it was like the Houston game, like his first play out there. So he's out there. We'll see again. He's had the injury history, but good to see him. And then Kendal Dolby too. I didn't expect to see Kendal Dolby out there that quickly.
No doubt. On on Wednesday, we did talk to a number of the guys. We talked to all 34 of the newcomers to the program. This show is going to be specific to all the transfer portal guys, Kendal Daniels, Marvin Jones Jr., Isaiah Sategna, as we talked about, Javonnie Gibson, a number of these guys, including a couple of the specialists that I think we all kind of enjoyed talking to.
They were awesome.
And their journey, the road to Norman. But we'll have Friday, all freshmen, talking Michael Fasusi, Ryan Foje, the litany of guys, Elijah Thomas, that look good out there today.
Yeah, looked great.
Alongside Manny Choice, who you mentioned earlier. All right, let's get into a little bit of the transfer portal stuff. But first, we need to tell you, grab that football behind you, George, because that's the first time ever the Jordan brand signature innovation, performance, and swagger are hitting the turf in Gaylord Family Oakland Memorial Stadium with this ball right here. The 2025 official OU Jordan Fly Elite football. That's the football that, as you saw on the screen behind us, that John Mateer's throwing to players. Pretty cool. I love the lacing, too, with the red.
Yeah, they're pretty sick. And it was funny, actually, today. There were some people out at practice, and one of the guys picked up one of these footballs that was laying on the side and was taking pictures of it.
Oh, really?
And was like, man, that's a really cool ball.
Well,
and
we know where you could get one. All you got to do is go to biggameusa.com/Sooners. That is biggameusa.com/Sooners. Every ball is handcrafted by in the USA by Big Game Football Factory. Every ball comes with a certificate of authenticity, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Especially
awesome.
You'll want to have this ball because they're going to win the national championship.
You'll want it at the
with
tailgate. That's where that's where it'll be awesome.
Is that where you used to throw off or show off the arm?
Yeah, man. At the tailgate, throwing the ball around, you definitely want the one that they're playing with on Saturdays.
Nothing wrong with a little two-hand touch as the parents get boozed up to drive the kids home. You know what I mean? Especially during this past football season. All right, let's get into a little bit of it because we did talk to a number of these guys. I know that it kind of starts when you're talking about the defensive side of the ball with the two big names, Kendal Daniels, obviously from Oklahoma State, as well as Marvin Jones Jr. from Florida State.
Yeah, two guys that I think are going to play a lot for Oklahoma, possibly start. I think it's going to be fascinating to see where Kendal Daniels ends up playing, and he was asked a lot about that. Out at practice today, he was playing will linebacker, it looked like. So I think he's going to play some inside, and when they're kind of thin at inside linebacker, so it makes sense. And he's got the size. I mean, 6'5", 239 pounds is what he's listed at. So makes a lot of sense. And
God, is he really 6'5"?
Dude, he's huge. I mean, he is a big dude. And Kerry Murdoch got a great photo of the four inside linebackers that are probably going to play the most for Oklahoma: Kobe McKenzie, Kip Lewis, Kendal Daniels, and Samuel Masigo, who I think is also moving inside from the cheetah position. So I think that's where you're going to see Kendal some. I think you're going to see him come in on, if they have three linebackers, he could be a rush in type of guy because he's so big. Maybe he pops out and plays some cheetah in some different formations, but interested to see where he ends up. And then Marvin Jones Jr., of all the transfers, he's probably one of the more talented, highest ceiling guys that they got. He was I think a 5-star coming out of high school. Obviously, Oklahoma recruited him and he almost picked OU, ends up at Georgia, then goes to Florida State. And I think he's a guy, Eddie. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, our Mason Thomas is going to start at one end.
Sure.
I wouldn't be shocked if Marvin Jones Jr. is your other starter at the other end.
You mentioned it. We talked to Kendal Daniels as well as Marvin Jones Jr. on Wednesday about their road in the transfer portal getting to Norman, and here's what they had to say.
I didn't really tune in that much to Oklahoma during the season, but after talking to Coach Chavis, seeing what kind of coach he is, what kind of guy he is, man, it just felt like home, honestly, especially when I came here. So, man, Coach Chavis has been awesome, and then obviously the way they play defense here has been amazing the past year.
So why did you end up choosing OU? Because, you're a highly touted guy. You probably had several schools calling you. What was it about Oklahoma that drew you to them?
I was going to come here out of high school, if not for, Georgia, Alabama, Florida State. Norman just felt like home, honestly. And then, Coach Chaves, like I just said, just hit the nail on the head with me. Just felt so comfortable with him. Norman just felt like home. Obviously, Coach Venables is a mastermind on defense, so it made it a lot easier to pick this school.
It's been different. It's been different, and I would say it's been just different. I can't really compare because it's so much different. Like Oklahoma City is so close, and Stillwater is kind of like a country town. So I would say that's probably the biggest part. But other than that, it's been really fun. I think I'll be able to fit in good with the guys that's been here, and everybody has brought me along. The guys have been great, and they've been welcoming. And a guy coming from Oklahoma State, you wouldn't think that, but the guys been welcoming with open arms.
What's it been like working with our Mason Thomas? Obviously, he's coming off a huge year. What kind of, dynamic duo can you guys be?
Man, Mason's he's been an awesome teammate. Just watching him work has been amazing. He's so explosive, so fast, just twitchy, everything you want out of an edge defender. But he's 10 times the person that he is a player. Such a leader, just a funny guy to be around. So yeah, being around Mason's been a blast so far.
It's been fun just to be able to meet with him and listen to him and watch the videos from his national championships and how his team was and how he talks. And he's just a great guy.
What's the role that they see you for?
I don't know, really. Coach Venables is just recruiting me here to play defense, and then we'll figure it out as we go on.
I want to just be the best leader I could be, best teammate I could be. It's easy to focus on personal stats and things like that, but I feel like the effect that I have on my teammates, especially the younger guys, is a lot more important to me.
Being a veteran guy is, being a leader, is that something that's important to you?
Definitely. I think being older, that's just something that comes with being older. It's your responsibility to lead, not just on the field but off. Bring guys on the right track, especially freshmen that are coming out of high school, just showing them the right way to do things.
It's kind of funny listening to some of these guys talk, and especially two guys that have been at bigger programs, right? Oklahoma State and Florida State, so comfortable doing the interview process. I'm sure that's something they've been through before. When you're talking about the OU offense, and it's going to be kind of fascinating to see how those guys fit into the defense this year. Obviously, John Mateer and what he's going to bring, and he's going to need some guys to be able to throw the football to. Did catch up with Javonnie Gibson. We talked about him earlier in the program. Looks the part out there. Isaiah Sategna might be one of the more underrated guys that they brought in, just in terms of he has played in the SEC coming over from Arkansas. And then Keontez Lewis, which is a fascinating story coming in from Southern Illinois.
Yeah, all three of those guys could end up being major contributors for Oklahoma. Javonnie Gibson's the one that, he really stands out. Like I said, physically, he looks ready to play. But, he's never played at this level. What does that look like? It could be an adjustment for him. Isaiah Sategna, I thought it was interesting today. He was kind of working in the slot a little bit, it seemed, during some of the reps. He was also doing some punt return today, which I know he did at Arkansas. And he, like you said, he played in the SEC a year ago, and he was productive. I think he had, 400, 500 yards receiving a year ago for Arkansas. So he's a guy that could come in and also, offer maybe some relief to Deion Burks in the slot, things like that. And then Keontez Lewis, he's kind of been all over the place. Was at UCLA, Wisconsin, Southern Illinois. Is a guy that, he was telling us on Wednesday that he kind of prides himself on his speed and all of those sorts of things. But I think he's a guy that maybe we haven't talked a lot about, but could end up playing a pretty big role for Oklahoma.
The common denominator with all of these guys, and I think we'll see the same with Elijah Thomas and Manny Choice when we talk about them on Friday, Emmett Jones and the job
Yeah.
that he has done just in terms of building connections with guys, and this going all the way back to high school, and then all of a sudden you enter the portal and you already have a established relationship.
He knows everybody. Like, he knows someone who knows someone who knows the guy that you're trying to recruit, right? Like, so like the connections are crazy. I think almost every receiver was like, oh yeah, so-and-so knew Emmett Jones, and that's how I got connected.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh wow. So that works out. But yeah, I think Emmett has done a good job. And, look, I know that when we talked about the portal, Eddie, there was a lot of talk of, they should have, gone after bigger names in the portal. I think Emmett did a good job of identifying maybe some hidden gems here. And if a couple of these guys hit, it could be big for Oklahoma.
I thought Zion Kearney looked pretty good as well today.
Man, he did. I don't know if I think he put on just a couple pounds, but he just looked really fast out there, really comfortable. Whereas a year ago, you could tell he was not, fully ready, I think, in the spring at least, to contribute.
Just hope that experience kind of shines through here over during the spring and then obviously into the season. Back to the transfer portal guys. We talked about them. Let's hear why they ended up at Oklahoma.
Just the legacy that Oklahoma has. I mean, I wanted to be in an explosive offense, an offense that really likes to throw the ball, and I feel like that's where I am. So, I'm excited to see what Coach Arbuckle has. We've already been putting in some really good stuff. So, I'm excited to see, what we haven't put in yet and see what the future holds.
Coach Emmett Jones, he was like one of the first ones to hit me about the portal. So that was like, I was like, I got interest over here. So that was the main thing. But in the portal, when I got in it was hectic because I ain't never had that many offers coming out of high school either. I was under recruited, so I ain't know which way to go. I just talked to my team, and that was it.
Honestly, like, when I got it, Oklahoma's Oklahoma for one. And then when I got up here, just the family atmosphere, like the coaches, the players, everything just around here was just kind of stood out to me. Basically, other than the place that I was already at, because this is my first visit out of the portal, so I didn't go nowhere else. I just flipped the switch and said, I'm coming here.
When you had the season that you did last year, was that when you were like, I got to get in the portal and see what my opportunities might be like?
Yes, sir, because that was my main goal, to always make it to a high-level SEC, play football over here. Just watching my film and how he attacked my film and seeing what I could have did better. So I was like, I want a coach that's going to coach me hard and critique me on the things that I'm not good at or that I need to work on, that he see like little small details. That really stood out to me.
Coach Jones, actually, he recruited me when I was in high school. So when he was at Kansas, he offered me and stuff. So I already kind of had some type of relationship with him. And he knows my receiver coach back in high school and stuff like that. So that played a big part too. And just him, like how much he knows the game and how much he can just help develop me as a player and off the field just stood out to me. So
Isaiah, how would you explain just your game to people that maybe haven't seen you play?
I would say I'm going to take the top off on the offense, and I'm an explosive returner, both punt and kick return.
Is that something you want to do at OU, punt and kick return?
Yes, sir.
Kind of feels like we're going to be hearing more from all three of those guys
Yeah,
at some point.
One thing you take away from that is all three seem very grateful for the opportunity to play at OU. Not to say other guys don't, but especially guys like Gibson and Lewis, who come from smaller schools.
Sure.
I think the opportunity, and really I think that they all saw all the turnover and say, man, what an opportunity for me to come in and maybe be a starter and contribute to an SEC team like Oklahoma.
Seems like everybody's on a little bit of a fresh slate, right?
Yeah.
And, maybe they'll run with it. What a story it would be if you had somebody from Southern Illinois or Arkansas Pine Bluff end up, catching passes from a kid from Little Elm that ended up at Washington State, and all of a sudden they're making noise in the SEC.
Got a bunch of underdogs.
Somewhat. Yeah. I don't think that they're underdogs, though, but you do have some new threads today. That looks good.
Yeah, this is my new Rowback. We just got it in the mail today. So.
Interesting. Let us tell you about our good friends over at Rowback, because we wear it just about every day. And as you see on the screen behind us, you can get your own using the promo code Sooner20 for 20% off. A little bit of a special here for the YouTube viewer out there. But I love Rowback. I know George loves Rowback. We even got Bob Prisbillo outfitted with some Rowback, and you can try on the everyday shorts or the Delta Performance pants, which are very comfortable to wear around. You go outside. You can also probably wear them to a bar if you want to.
Yeah, the joggers, the shorts, the quarter zips, which I know you like, the Q zips. They're great. I love these Hezzy hoodies, which you can see they have the OU one right behind me. They're just super comfortable, and you can wear them really wherever.
All you got to do is use the code behind us here, Suitor20 for 20% off, and just go over to rowback.com and fill that out for you and get some spring gear as we head into what should be a rather lovely temperature area coming from where we have been. A little bit of that fake spring last week.
The light hoodie weather is the best weather.
Pretty
like
awesome.
50, 60
it's
degrees.
Pretty awesome. I can see why people love the appeal of San Diego, California during the summer, or not during the summer, but during the fall. It's unbelievable. Somebody that did come over from California, speaking of, was Luke Baklenko. We also talked to Derek Simmons, and when you look at this Oklahoma offensive line, it's pretty obvious, right? They have to be better in 2025. They went out and they signed the recruiting class that they did. We talked about Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje. We'll see them on Friday here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel, but we'll talk transfers now, and it seems like there's a moment of opportunity, if anything else, right now when you have the injuries to Heath Ozida, when you have the injuries to Logan Howland.
Yeah, huge opportunity. I mean, these are two guys, Derek Simmons and Luke Baklenko, who, the last couple of years were starters at their respective programs. Derek Simmons, I think, primarily played some right tackle, but he's kind of played wherever on the offensive line throughout his career at Western Carolina and his other stops. But Baklenko, he's been, a right and left tackle as well, and he started for Stanford for the last 2 years. So, and I know Stanford wasn't very good, but he does have, those snaps. So I think that he's somebody that could come in and compete for a starting job, and when you get a leg up in the spring, that certainly will help you. So I thought both those guys, Eddie, today, just watch him practice. I mean, Michael Fasusi was the guy we were really watching, but both those guys stood out. They certainly fit in terms of the size and what you're looking for.
You mentioned Luke Baklenko, and I actually asked him, and you can see all the interviews that we did with all the players, the transfer portal guys, as well as the new freshmen on SoonerScoop.com's editorial page. I asked him, does he have a preference? Does he know which side he wants to start? And it was basically, I'm going to do what Bill tells me to do, and I'll do it with a smile. But he does have a little bit of versatility. They can play multiple positions on the line, which you never know, might come in handy at some point.
Yeah, certainly. And when you talk about the guys that are coming back from a year ago, Jacob Sexton and Jake Taylor, those guys have had to play different spots too. Sure. So, Bill Beatenbow is somebody who's going to tinker with it. He's going to move guys around and try and find his best five. I do think, Eddie, one of those two is probably going to start week one. I don't know which one. I think we have to see it, play out, but it feels like they brought those guys in to kind of compete against each other as well as with the other guys. But I wouldn't be shocked if one of those two is starting for Oklahoma.
Let's hear from Luke Baklenko as well as Derek Simmons about their arrival to Norman.
Experience has been crazy coming from an FCS school. The things you get there between the things you get here. I kind of have everything I need here, and it's been really good. Taking it a week at a time. First week was a little slow getting, enrolled and everything, but everything's been good. It's been moving quick. Body feels good. Enjoying all the guys, all my teammates, all the coaches. Strength coaches are awesome, so it's all running smooth.
Yeah, it's been great. I loved it so far. Coaches have been great. Teammates have been great. It's been amazing.
That was the first time that Bill gets in your grill. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? And just in general, what was the recruitment process like coming out of the portal, and what did Bill sell you on?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't sell me on anything. He just was himself. Sure. I knew what I was getting into. Definitely wanted to be coached hard, he's done a great job of that so far. But yeah, he's a really great guy.
Who he's coached, how he coaches, and kind of, I like how his former players come back. He coaches hard, and that's good. I like that. He's an old style line coach, and that's good. You need that nowadays, especially with football. But he's been good. Probably easily the best offensive line coach I've had since playing college.
Is there that first moment he drops a couple MFs on you? You can be like, all right, I'm fine. I finally got here. I'm around.
Yeah, it was awesome. First meeting was awesome. It was. I was so excited after that. I'm like, let's go. It's time. So
not to say you're coming after anybody, but there is opportunity out there to play and play immediately.
Yep.
What's that look like to you?
I'm taking it the same either way. If there is opportunity to play, if there's not, I'm just here to get better, and I'm here to win.
With that, I'm just taking a day at a time. I'm gonna do what I need to do. I want those guys to get healthy. I wouldn't say it's anything like that. I'm just gonna take everything a day at a time. Not really worry about that. I hope those dudes do get healthy and get back, and kind of just look towards the future and the season coming up.
Really kind of enjoyed talking to Derek Simmons. He's a little bit of a throwback.
He's got a look to him too, man.
I love it. I bet he was buying beer for all the high school kids back in the day. Can't do that anymore. I wouldn't do that. I would not suggest that. Just steal it. That's what I did. All right, let's move to the specialist, because I do think that this is a little bit of an underrated storyline just in terms of the overall spring for Oklahoma. You're losing Zach Schmidt. You lose Luke Elzinga. You had to go to the portal. Doug Deacon's back for a second year with Oklahoma. That's good news. You just don't really know what you have. Obviously, Liam Evans is going to have an opportunity to be the place kicker, going to battle with Austin Welch. But we're talking about Austin Welch. We're talking about Jacob Ulrich, and it's going to be kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I think both are interesting pickups. Jacob Ulrich, the punter, was one of the best in the country a year ago, and underrated because he played for a terrible football team in Kennesaw State. But I think he was
he got a lot of work. We can say that.
I think he punted the most of any punter in the country a year ago, or something like that, and he was top 15 in net yards. For example, I think Luke Elzinga was, top 20. So, this is a guy who can really boot it. Also, super tall. Did not realize how tall he is. He's like 6'4", I think.
Rocking the sunshine. Remember the Titans hair too.
And he's a great interview. You'll hear in a second. But Austin Welch too, super interesting because he was good for Kennesaw State a year ago, but he wasn't great. And so I'm interested to see how that kicking competition shakes out, because I do think they really like Liam Evans, and he's a guy that sat last year behind Zach Schmidt and Tyler Keltner, but I'm sure that's a kicking competition that'll go well into fall camp. But you're right, it's not a storyline a lot of people are talking about, because Elzinga and Schmidt were really good a year ago.
Yeah.
Especially Schmidt at times was just fantastic. So it's something that, and we saw there's a lot of big kicks that happen, and you're going to play a lot of close games. So you need to have somebody reliable back there.
It was kind of fun to hear their stories and how they arrived in Norman. Here is Austin Welch as well as Jacob Ulrich on their road to OU.
I think Coach Deacon's only been here for a year, but what was the process in getting into the portal and then finding Oklahoma?
Yeah, so I got in the portal around in late November of last year, and Coach Deacon reached out around that time. We communicated for a few weeks, really about a month. By the time he gave me the offer, and really I knew that I couldn't turn that down.
I got in the portal, and for the first hour or two, my family was texting me like, "Oh, you sure?" And then I started getting some interest, and I slept pretty good that night after some interest came in. And then Deacon texted me, and I saw OU. Okay, now we gotta. You've gotten there. Now it's time to go farther. Get here. Do what you need to do. Keep your head down. Go. Make the adjustments you need to play and ball.
Not to say it's easy, but is kicking and kind of ingratiating yourself to the rest of the team pretty easy, just in terms of you just got to go out and make some shit?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's you're brought in to make kicks, so it's not complicated really. Sure. Just go and do your job.
The first impression was OU, Oklahoma, 13 hours away. That was my mom. Never lived outside the state. Mom was really excited when I was an hour away in Kennesaw. But she got on her visit and saw everybody here. We talked to Venables for almost 2 hours. She got peace of mind, and we got back to the hotel on my first night of visit, and she goes, "I think you found your home." And every once in a while, she'll text me and say, "I trust the people there." And then my dad, he's always been like one of my biggest fans, always there, and he heard OU, and I think he teared up a little bit. He was so excited, so proud, and I was just so happy to get a bigger chance, and it's really exciting. I'm hoping that I can get most of my family out to at least one game this year.
I was going to ask that.
And it's going to be different because Kennesaw, you could find your parents in the stands. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that here, but it'll be interesting to see.
I would imagine the Kennesaw State experience is going to be a little bit different than University of Oklahoma football games, just in general, even maybe school just in general, but kind of fun stories with both those guys. It's going to be rather interesting. I do think, like, seriously, it could be a very important situation for Oklahoma here over the course of the spring to find a kicker, find a punter, and then obviously move into fall camp.
And one thing to note, too, I do think Ulrich was the holder last year for Kennesaw State with Austin Welch as the kicker, so they're comfortable doing that if they're ended up being the starting duo. So just something to keep an eye on. I know it's not always the hot topic that everybody wants to talk about, but it's important.
Third member of that trio, Ben Anderson, got put on a scholarship as announced by Brent Venables on Wednesday.
I mean, Brent said it the other day. They were top 15 in special teams efficiency a year ago, so you got to keep that thing going.
It's never a big deal, right, until it is a big deal, and then it ends up losing a couple of football games. And in this case, in this 2025 season, might end up losing some people their jobs if you don't take care of everything, right?
Yeah, and I'm interested too, Eddie. Who's going to return kicks?
Sure.
Who's going to return punts? Last year,
if Sategna gets an opportunity.
I would assume he's the leading candidate. I don't think they're going to put Peyton Bowen back there again, especially if Peyton's starting at safety. But Billy Bowman, was he the kick returner a year ago? Starting kick returner?
For a little bit, but I mean, they just never returned a whole lot. So I think they put Sam Franklin back there a couple times as well.
Yeah, and I know Elijah Thomas mentioned to me, and we'll talk to him tomorrow on the show. But he I think he kicked return in high school, and I wouldn't be shocked if he tries to get in the mix too.
Look at us talking ball on March 6th as Oklahoma opens up spring practice on Thursday. Plenty of coverage, plenty of pictures. I know, Kerry, as you mentioned earlier, got a ton of pictures. Those will be up on the site. Plenty of stories coming out, even more stories coming out in the coming days. In, I guess, the end of what was the media bonanza on Wednesday. So kind of an exciting time. Good time to be joining Soonerscoop.com. Just $1 out there talking to you in YouTube land, but come join us. It's the largest community online for
lots
Oklahoma.
of Bob put up and I put out some stuff too, but Bob put up some news and notes that are definitely worth checking out. So perfect time to sign up because we're going to start getting notes from practice and stuff like that. So definitely sign up for that.
I already saw the video of John Mateer finding Javonnie Gibson for a long touchdown on Thursday at Oklahoma's first practice. Of course, that was after we were gone. But nonetheless, it was good to be back out there.
Yep.
For George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you here on Friday on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel.